2 Kings, chapter 1. And Moab annulled allegiance with Israel after the dying of Ahab. And Ahaziah fell through the lattice in his upper room in Samaria, and was infirm. And he sent for messengers, and said to them, Go and ask through Baal, the fly god of Ekron, if I shall live from out of this my infirmity. And they went to ask. And an angel of the Lord spoke to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, Rise up, go to meet the messengers of Ahaziah king of Samaria, and say to them, Is it on account of the not being a god in Israel you go to ask of Baal, the fly god of Ekron? On account of this, thus says the Lord, the bed upon which you ascended upon it, you shall not go from it, for to death you shall die. And Elijah went and spoke to them. And the messengers returned to him, and he said to them, Why is it that you have returned? And they said to him, A man ascended to meet us, and he said to us, Go, return to the king sending you, and say to him, Thus says the Lord, Is it because there is no God in Israel you go to seek anxiously by Baal, the fly god of Ekron? On account of this, the bed upon which you ascended upon it, you shall not go from it, for to death you shall die. And the king said to them, What was the distinguishing mark of the man ascending to meet you, and speaking to you these words? And they said to him, He was a hairy man, and a belt made of skin was girded upon his loin. And he said, This is Elijah the Tishbite. And he sent to him a commander of 50, and his 50. And he ascended to him. And Elijah himself sat upon the top of the mountain. And the commander of 50 spoke to him, O man of God, the king calls you, come down. And Elijah answered and said to the commander of 50, And if I am a man of God, fire shall come down from out of the heaven, and shall devour you and your 50. And there came down fire from out of the heaven, and devoured him and his 50. And the king proceeded, and he sent to him another commander of 50, and his 50. And the commander of 50 ascended and spoke to him, and said, O man of God, thus says the king, quickly come down. And Elijah answered and said to him, If I am a man of God, fire shall come down from out of the heaven, and shall devour you and your 50. And there came down fire from out of the heaven, and devoured him and his 50. And the king proceeded again to send a third commander of 50 and his 50. And the third commander of 50 came and bent upon his knees in front of Elijah, and beseeched him, and spoke to him, and said, O man of God, value indeed my life, and the lives of your bondmen, these 50 in your eyes. Behold, there came down fire from out of the heaven, and devoured the first 2 commanders of 50s and their 50s, and now value indeed the life of your bondmen in your eyes. And the angel of the Lord said to Elijah, Go down with him. You should not fear from their presence. And Elijah rose up, and went down with them to the king. And he said to him, Thus says the Lord, Because you sent messengers to ask to Baal, the fly god of Ekron, as if there was not a God in Israel to ask the word of him, on account of this, the bed upon which you ascended upon it, you shall not go down from it, for in death you shall die. And he died, according to the saying of the Lord which Elijah spoke. And Joram, the brother of Ahaziah, reigned instead of him, for there was not a son to him. In the 2nd year of Joram, son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. And the rest of the words of Ahaziah, as many things as he did, behold, Are not these written in the scroll of the words of the days of the kings of Israel?